Hey, hello everyone, and welcome back to this channel. This time we are reviewing CONCLAVE, a suspense thriller that follows one of the world's most secretive and ancient events, which is selecting a new pope. In this movie, Cardinal Lawrence finds himself at the center of a conspiracy in what seems to be a political war for power over the Catholic Church. So, is it worth watching? Is it intense or boring? Well, let's find out. This story takes place in the beautiful city of Rome, and more specifically, inside the secretive walls of Vatican City. We are facing the recent death of the Pope, but we do not know anything about him. However, it is important to just know that in his last moments of life, he was basically surrounded by people he did not trust. Therefore, the Sacred College of Cardinals reunites in conclave to choose for the new successor. Cardinal Thomas Lawrence is in charge of directing the entire ritual. Okay, so Cardinal Thomas Lawrence is the main protagonist in this suspense thriller, as he takes us through the high ecclesiastical hierarchy of the Catholic Church, this unknown and mysterious world that we, the public, only get to see from surface. He has the difficult task of leading a diverse group of cardinals to choose a new pope. By unanimous decision, we are introduced to the main candidates that could possibly be elected. So even though the movie has a strong religious charge and delves into the faith crisis, the thriller is actually more inclined towards the political thriller. So what really matters are all these internal power struggles, the internal struggles for control of the Catholic Church. This is what I mean by saying that we only get to see a part of the real process in real life, only from the surface. Thomas Lawrence is the Cardinal Dean. He pretty much plays a detective role that shows us all the intrigues and all the mysteries surrounding the papal election, which is the same thing we got to see at Netflix's House of Cards, just that instead of the Vatican City, we are located in the White House with all the intrigues and mysteries surrounding American politics. However, Conclave explores other topics such as human nature and the seek of power, but also a fair dose of faith crisis. So guys, this movie received such good critics from all over the world, and I believe many Oscars nominations, which is great. Do not get me wrong here. The atmosphere is impeccable, the photography and locations are just beautiful. I mean, of course, we are in Vatican City, and we couldn't expect less. Everything from the musical partiture all the way to the costumes is fantastic. The story by itself, it's intriguing, getting to some intense moments that are achieved thanks to the great performance of the cast, even though the dialogues, and I have to say this, are not at the same great level. I'll explain why later. Conclave touches on several topics that are interesting even if you are not a religious person. It explores the idea of uncertainty and faith crisis. It introduces us the high ecclesiastical hierarchy. As some old dudes that are more concerned about gaining power, it shows situations of political war, corruption, sabotage, and all kinds of tricks. Some other ideas it explores are, for example, should we sacrifice our beliefs for progress? Or should we be more open-minded instead of living in the past? Perhaps all of these ideas we see in the Cardinals are a signal for the audience to learn that we should not treat famous political figures as if they were saints or perfect, because they certainly are not. That's part of what I liked about the movie. It shows us exactly what we expected from this elitist and distant group. Pretty much all of them have very common failures. Actions taken in the past that are now trying to hide, revealing that none of them is what they try to portray. Very much in the style of House of Cards or even Mindhunter. How can we forget about that marvelous series that perfectly shows us how reality surpasses fiction, and how maybe fictional monsters are not as terrifying as the evilness in human nature? But that's exactly what we are missing here in this movie, is that intensity and suspense that seems to never explode, or when it gets to the peaking point, it just feels weird, like they are trying to manipulate our perspective. In the beginning of the movie, they even made us suspect that the death of the Pope may not have been for natural consequences, or that the nun had major implication in the plot. The reason why I compared the movie with previously mentioned productions is because I feel they had a purpose. They built that suspense and then exploded things to get to another point. Unfortunately, in this movie, I felt that we got nowhere. especially at the end, the whole plot about the cardinal's dubious sexuality. In my opinion, it was just ridiculous and unnecessary. Like they are trying to impose us certain concepts, put on purpose. And at another scene, a terrorist attack reaches the location in which the cardinals are celebrating the ritual of election, and some of them result in injury. That, of course, leads to a bigger argument about those actions and how the Catholic Church should respond. One of the cardinals is like, we should attack them back with armed forces, or something like that. And everyone in the room goes crazy, like, yeah, we should definitely fuck those guys. I mean, fuck that bitch. And then another cardinal is like, no, brothers, I don't know you, but you don't know me, but I was in Afghanistan. And we should not respond to that evilness with violence. Instead, we need more love and more peace. And then everyone in the room suddenly changes and they are like, yeah, he is right. I mean, wow, he is incredible. We should vote for him. I really don't know if I could recommend this movie to you guys. I mean, it's worth for the technical part. Just like Heretic. You guys remember? You may possibly come out disappointed just like with Heretic. And I guess it was my fault because I was the one expecting a lot more drama or intensity, perhaps more action or complexity in these arguments. But in the end, it all comes down to gossip. And many of the ideas I told you, it explores well. Let's say it just mentions them and treats them a bit on the surface because it doesn't go deeper than that. So in conclusion, we could say that it evolves about various topics, but at the same time, it doesn't evolve about anything in particular. So for me, guys, this movie is a 7 out of 10. You are not going to miss much if you don't see it, but if you do, you are going to appreciate the production design. Now, if you guys are passionate like me about all those conspiracy, dramatic, religious stuff that on one hand is supposed to be all good, but in reality there's shady stuff going on, then please allow me to recommend you The Doubt, an American drama that will delight you with the great performances of Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Amy Adams, set in a local church as one of the nuns suspects unusual behavior about the relationship between the priest and the school's first black student. Follow her as she takes a detective role to get to the bottom of the matter. For me, this movie is a solid 10 out of 10. But guys, please let me know what you think about it. If you agree or disagree with me, I honestly felt like I was going to fall asleep in some parts of the movie. Please subscribe, because not even my mom watches my videos. Bye-bye.